Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. Coming off of a phenomenal season in which the Philadelphia Eagles just went to the Super Bowl, the main catalyst of this Super Bowl run on offense was running the football, despite phenomenal play at the receiver position. And their main running back, Miles Sanders, just left in free agency, and the Eagles addressed this problem by bringing in two running backs. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down this running back battle that will ensue in training camp, and I will be giving my prediction of who will win this battle, DeAndre Swift or Rashaad Penny. Jalen Hurts is one of the best runners of the football at the quarterback position, and last year he really proved that. In 2022, Jalen Hurts had 165 rushing attempts, 760 yards, and 13 touchdowns on the ground. In this Nick Sirianni offense, they love running the read option, but the read option is nothing without a good running back. If the Eagles don't get good running back play next year, then defenses simply will bite in and cave in on every single Jalen Hurts read option, and they will attack the quarterback, which is why it is so vital that they adequately replace the production that Miles Sanders brought to the table. I know a lot of Eagles fans and some football fans in general weren't crazy about Miles Sanders last year, but he was a significant part in this Super Bowl run. He had 259 attempts last year, 1,269 yards, and 11 touchdowns. He also brought 20 catches to the table in the receiving game. From a financial standpoint, it just did not make sense to bring back Miles Sanders. There was going to be a team such as the Panthers, a rebuilding team that could throw a lot of money at him. Plus, he did not perform too well in the Super Bowl, which I believe left a sour taste in the mouths of Howie Roseman and company. So they went out this offseason, and first off, they signed Rashaad Penny. Rashaad Penny is a guy who is a former first-round pick for the Seattle Seahawks. He's heading into his sixth season, but he's really never had a productive season. Last year, he had 346 yards and 2 touchdowns, but the story of Rashaad Penny's career isn't that he's not a good player. In my opinion, in fact, he's been a phenomenal running back every single time he's touched foot on the football field, and this has been flashed. In 2021, the last 6 weeks of the NFL season, Rashaad Penny was the number 1 fantasy running back in the entire league, and he ended up having, in a very small sample size, 749 yards and 6 touchdowns in 2021. So he really has flashed that potential to be a every down back for a football team. But again, the issue has been injuries. Injuries have plagued his entire career. The second running back the Philadelphia Eagles ended up bringing in this offseason was during the NFL draft. The Lions kind of shocked everyone and picked a running back in the first round, and this immediately caused the future surrounding DeAndre Swift, a former second-round pick for the Lions very recently. It really left his future absolutely up in the air, and the question surrounding his future was answered immediately as the Philadelphia Eagles and Howie Roseman picked up the phone and traded for DeAndre Swift for a 4th-round pick in 2025, and this year they had a 7th-round pick swap. Swift is a guy who is heading into his 4th season and has somewhat struggled to impress not only the Lions, but the rest of the NFL. Last year, he had 542 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns in 14 games, but he only had 8 games started as Jamal Williams took his starting spot. Once the 53-man roster is made for the Philadelphia Eagles, I expect 4 running backs to be on that final roster. Those are going to be Rashaad Penny, DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Gainwell, who plays that scat back role. He's pretty solid in the receiving game, and he's pretty solid in some situational downs as a 5'9" shifty running back. And then they have Boston Scott, who has been the giant killer. He is a staple of this Eagles team for the past few seasons. Last year, he had 217 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Kenneth Gainwell put up very similar statistical outputs as well. So these guys are good rotational pieces. They're scat backs, but these aren't going to be the 2 running backs that get the majority of the work. It's either going to be Rashaad Penny or DeAndre Swift. Why I really like Rashaad Penny from a stylistic matchup with the Philadelphia Eagles in this roster, in this team, is because the Nick Sirianni offense really requires the running back to be an inside zone runner, really specifically on those read option concepts where from the pistol, from the shotgun formation, with those read options, you're going to have Jalen Hurts have the outside option. He's going to read the defensive end, and if the defensive end crashes into the running back, he's going to have an outside zone concept, whereas the running back is going to have that inside zone concept and is going to get the ball if the defensive end does not crash inside. This is where I really see Rashaad Penny winning this starting job. He's straight up a much better inside zone runner than any other running back on this roster, and he's flashed the potential to be a top 10 runner in the NFL on inside zone concepts, which is why I really do anticipate for Rashaad Penny to win this starting job. Not only that, but the Eagles really do not require their running backs to be good receiving backs at all. They really have not had a good receiving back in here in the Nick Sirianni offense, and they've really never required their running backs to do so, which really helps Rashaad Penny's case. He's also a bigger body out there, and he's a very good blocker. In fact, I believe he's the best running back on the roster in terms of a pass blocking perspective. Whereas you look at DeAndre Swift, he's more of that jack of all trades, master of none guy. He's kind of your classic backup running back where he could be steady, he could be stable, he could be solid. He's a safe guy with a higher floor, lower ceiling. But Rashaad Penny also has that top end speed once he gets going. He's one of those bigger bodied running backs such as Derrick Henry, where you go, his speed isn't that good, but then he's making 5-6 guys in the secondary miss because of that top end speed. That's what I see out of Rashaad Penny in this offense. Whereas DeAndre Swift, he's not a guy who's going to be breaking 40, 50, 60 yard runs, whereas Rashaad Penny does have that potential. Now, Rashaad Penny, he has that injury concern, so I don't think Rashaad Penny is just going to replace Miles Sanders carries. I do think Rashaad Penny is going to get about 150 carries this season, not 259 carries, which Miles Sanders had. Miles Sanders has a good track record of staying healthy, whereas Rashaad Penny, injuries have plagued his career. So in my opinion, Rashaad Penny is going to get the majority of the touches for this Eagles offense on the ground. Number 2 is going to be Jalen Hurts, of course, their quarterback, who is very good in the run game as well. In fact, I would say Jalen Hurts and Rashaad Penny have somewhat of a similar running style to them. Then I believe it will be DeAndre Swift as that jack of all trades, master of none guy. He's going to come in on 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 5s, be a solid yet lower upside guy in the receiving game, and be a solid yet lower upside guy on a 1st and 10 just to kind of change the pace between him and Rashaad Penny. Then I believe Kenneth Walker will be 4th in carries on this offense behind those 2 running backs and Jalen Hurts. Then it'll be Boston Scott. Thanks for listening, guys. Let me know in the comment section below who will be the best Eagles running back next season.